Now, I think perhaps one of the biggest sort of surprises in British cultural life in the last, 10, 15 years is the way that we've embraced Japanese food. If you'd have said 10, 20 years ago that sushi was going to become a normal part of people's lunch, people would have looked at you as if you were very strange. They probably wouldn't even have known what sushi was. But sushi and ramen and so many elements of Japanese cuisine have become part of our kind of everyday life. But can you cook it? Well, the person sitting opposite me certainly can. And she can perhaps teach you too, because she's Yuki Gomi. She's a Japanese chef, teacher and author. She's the author of Sushi at Home, The Beginner's Guide to Perfect Simple Sushi, and she gives courses here to British people to teach them how to cook Japanese food. Yuki, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Are you surprised that British people have taken to Japanese food quite so much?
Yeah, in the beginning, but now not really, because it's everywhere now. So everybody into street food now.
Yep.
There's a lot of different type of Japanese food. So it's in the beginning a little bit surprised, but I'm getting used to it now.
And are we getting a broader range of Japanese food? Because originally when Japanese restaurants first opened, they tended to be very expensive and sort of very high end, and and people were a bit scared of getting the wrong things or spending too much money. But now we seem to get all different sorts of Japanese cooking.
Exactly, of course. Like I grew up traditional Japanese food from my mother to cook, and everybody thinks Japanese food is expensive and also, very complicated to cook.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No?
Of course not. You can cook very easily.
Yeah.
And also you can buy the all ingredients from local supermarket and stuff. So it's not.
If people want to cook some Japanese food at home, what's a good place to start? Should you start with sushi or should you start with something a bit simpler perhaps? Or?
You can approach both. Obviously, I wrote the book called Sushi at Home.
Yep.
It's very easy to make.
Is it?
Yeah, it is very easy. And also, you can do this miso soup or a lot of like street food, like a gyoza.
Yep.
It's a dumpling. It's very easy to make. You can do both, but it's different kind of approach. But same time, you can cook it very easily.
Because sushi chefs take a long time to train. So what are they learning? Is that all about the cutting and the knife skills?
Yes, and then also more like traditional. I'm not professional. I'm professional chef, but I'm not like a training master sushi chef. I'm not. But if you wanted to be a traditional master sushi chef, obviously you need to learn like 10 years or...
Wow.
Because like this brand also keep the culture and, so that's the difference. But of course my mother makes sushi in home and she doesn't need to do train.
I was going to say, do Japanese people eat sushi at home, or is that something more you would go out to a restaurant to eat?
Both, two ways. So when I write this book, I was thinking of my mother, when I was a child, my mother asked me okay, would you like some sushi tonight?
Yep.
So always, yes. And the next question is, where are you going to cook, mother? Or are you going to take me to the restaurant? So big differences.
Yeah.
And then my mom says, okay, let's go to the restaurant, means big treat.
Yeah.
So like training chef, making a very expensive, very good high-end experience. But if my mother cook, it's more likely home cooking style for my birthday, parties or some occasion. So it's completely different. Okay,
when you give classes, when people come and have classes to you, what do you begin with? What's the first thing that you teach them?
Of course, rice.
Rice?
Yes, we obsess about rice.
My wife's Chinese. I know how much people could obsess about rice.
I know. We can talk about rice forever.
But Japanese rice is very distinctive, isn't it? It's very different from rice in Indian food or in Chinese food.
Yeah, Indian food is basmati rice. It's much more long grain rice, which is much more drier. And sushi rice is much more sticky, so that's why you can roll up and stick together. Yep. So it's different, and you have to have different consistency of water and rice. So it's all different.
Okay, so you'd start with the rice. What comes next? Is it about, particularly if you're making sushi, you have to make sure that the fish is very, very fresh, don't you?
It has to be, yes. You have to choose the right fishmonger, or you have to be friendly with them. Right. Otherwise,
do most fishmongers these days who are not Japanese, do they know how to prepare?
Yes, yes, definitely. I have several good fishmonger in London,
Yep.
and they always look after me. And then when I ask, do you have a sushi quality or sushi grade with fish? And then they always, yes, today you have this and that. You can choose quite variety of fish.
Can almost any fish be used for sushi? Or?
Some of not really suitable, but here it's like mackerel is really good.
I love mackerel.
Oh yes, very nice.
But my favourite is unagi. You see, I love eel, but I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a little bit tricky. You can't get from Thames, to be honest.
Exactly.
So eel, not really. But you can go sea bass, sea bream, tuna, salmon. Brilliant here, yes.
Sushi is one thing, but there's an awful lot more to Japanese cooking than sushi, isn't there?
Yes, you can do millions different type of Japanese cuisine, Japanese dish. Now it's ramen. It's super popular.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a ramen class tomorrow. Actually.
So what does a ramen class? Give me a ramen class. What does it consist of?
Ramen has to have the good broth.
Right.
It's really, really have to have the rich. Chicken and also Japanese dashi, which is a Japanese stock, mixed together, and very depths of umami. Do you know umami?
Yeah.
And
so where would the umami come from? Is that you can buy umami in a jar, but is that
umami is mainly come from the fermented food,
right?
Which is like miso, soy sauce, or kombu, which is a dried kombu. So dried food has a lot of umami in it.
Right.
So that's why we make stock dashi from the kombu, which is a kelp. Dried kelp.
So if you're making a stock for your ramen, would you be making it out of packets or would you be making it from fresh?
No,
Don't look at me like
not.
that.
Of course, like how open the packet.
Because you can get the packets, can't you?
No, yeah, of course, that's an instant version.
Right.
Of course, I'm gonna do by scratch, making the proper stock. And
what, from chicken or what?
Yeah, I do the chicken carcass. Some chef does use tonkotsu, which is pork.
Yep.
But I do that a little bit more Tokyo style because my region's more Tokyo. So I do the Tokyo more lighter.
Yep.
So chicken broth and also, do you know chashu?
Yep.
Which is pork.
Yeah.
So slow cooked pork. And then that sauce goes into the soup and it makes really nice kind of shoyu, which is a soy-based ramen.
And what about the noodles themselves?
Unfortunately, we never make the noodle in home.
No, never.
Yeah, never. Even though restaurant, they ask factory to make it.
Right.
So it's very specific skill to make it. So I don't do it. But I'm going to do the beautiful soup. Yeah.
If people come to a course, how long does it take to learn sushi or ramen or whatever it is you're teaching?
I do my class normally 2.5, less than 3 hours.
Right.
And then most people, when they get home and they make sushi, and then sometimes send me the photos, quite good.
Yes.
So like, pretty much 3 hours you can learn sushi. So I brought sushi
Oh, have you
today.
bought some? Oh,
Of course.
Fantastic.
So I made it this morning.
Right.
So this is a traditional sushi. It's not raw fish.
Right.
So this is called futomaki.
So this is futomaki, which is rolls.
Rolls, yes. The big futo means fat.
Does it?
Yes.
So it's a fat maki.
Fat rolls. So yes.
And this has got what in it?
It's a fresh cucumber.
Yep.
And omelette. Have you heard of Japanese omelette?
Yeah.
Which is I use. Here you go. Square pan.
Like you have a square pan. I'm sorry, I'm eating my
From my
futomaki.
handbag, yes. So you can use this one. Everybody has in Japan.
A square pan.
Square pan. Have to have this one
Right.
to make a rectangle shape omelette.
Yep.
So that's one of the filling, and also shiitake mushroom and carrot. So I cook about 10 minutes. Cook very light, like soya based sauce. And then that's the 3 fillings.
I mean, these days, whenever you go into one of the the places that sell sushi, the chains or
Yes.
whatever, everything, for example, seems to have avocado in it, which is not Japanese traditional at all, is it?
But it's been around quite a long time.
Right.
A lot of Japanese people love avocado roll.
Yeah.
My mom always said that avocado tastes like a toro. Do you know toro? Which
No.
is most expensive, like a rich fatty tuna.
Right.
So almost like
To me, it tastes like soap. I really don't like avocado. And everywhere you get sushi these days, it's Californian. It's not Japanese.
Exactly, but I found it's quite go with the soya and the wasabi.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good.
Do you need to have all of these ingredients at home? Because most British households, I guess, are not going to have most of these ingredients, are they?
Yeah, but you can buy actually in a local supermarket, like English supermarket.
Yep.
If you go to the supermarket, like Oriental section, so they have a mirin,
Yep.
which is Japanese sherry.
Okay, what are the things that you need to have as real basic? Mirin is one of them.
Mirin,
Yep.
one of the, like a sherry,
Yep.
sweet wine,
Yep.
and soy sauce.
Yep.
Everybody has now.
So would that be a different soy sauce from if you were having Chinese food, say? Or?
Yeah, slightly different. I think Chinese soy sauce is slightly darker
Yeah,
and thicker.
slightly heavier. And
Heavier.
Yeah.
So Japanese we call shoyu,
Yep.
which is kind of lighter. We call shoyu. So you can buy Japanese brands and then you can use for sushi and general Japanese cooking. Yes.
And you need the seaweed, perhaps?
Seaweed, yes. It's a lot of seaweed we use. Kombu, which is a dried kelp for the stock.
Yep.
And wakame you can use for miso soup and also like seaweed salad. So that's different type of seaweed. You can get it, but it's very easy to get it in a health shop.
Yep.
And local supermarket, yes.
And do you think the quality of Japanese food here in London in particular is pretty good now?
Much, much better now.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get the really good organic stuff, authentic stuff. So and also you can order by online now. So it's really easy to get it. Most ingredients you can get it very easily.
And what about in restaurants here now? Is the Japanese food good, would you say?
Yes, much improved now. It's
Yes, you have a real smile on your face.
Yes, this past 8 years,
Yep.
it's so much better. And a much more like specific restaurant you can find,
Yeah.
like a ramen restaurant,
Yeah.
udon restaurant, and of course...
Because in Tokyo, that's what most restaurants are, aren't they? They're
Yes.
You go to a restaurant that just does noodles, or a restaurant that just
Exactly.
does sushi, or a restaurant that just does
Yeah.
tonkatsu or sukiyaki or whatever
Exactly,
it might
like
be.
our conversation, like, oh, let's eating out tonight. So they always ask, like, which restaurant would you like? So here's maybe Thai or Italian, but for Japanese, like tempura, unagi, or maybe sushi, or maybe ramen. So
Do Japanese people eat very much Western food yet?
we do.
Yeah.
Italian is big in Japan.
Is it?
We love Italian food, but sometimes twist more little Japanese.
So you Japanese it up just a little bit.
Yeah, so a little touch of soy sauce and stuff. But it's good. We love Italian food. Yes.
Because I remember having an Indian chef on, and she said that her family on Fridays used to eat fish and chips, but she says she used to correct it, and she put some chili in the batter, and so basically she made an Indian version of fish and chips.
Yeah, I really understand. And then always has to have like a rice. So my brother always have a steak and rice.
Yeah. Well, my wife, if I make an English roast dinner, which she loves, she'll have a bowl of rice on the side because every meal has to have rice.
That's a staple of food. Rice have to have, yes.
The book is called Sushi at Home,
Yes.
The Beginner's Guide to Perfect Simple Sushi by Yuki Gomi. And if people are interested in the classes, Yuki, where do they go and how do they find out?
You can come to my website first, and then several, like I have a ramen class, gyoza class, sushi class. So you can choose the class whatever you like. So my website, yukiskitchen.com. So please contact me anytime.
Yuki Gomi, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.